I did a video and we were talking about how, finance and money in the black community, and I compared it to the Asian community, obviously growing up in Tower Hamlets, growing up around other ethnic minorities and other non-black groups. I did a comparison. I remember looking at the comments and people saying, how long are we going to be talking about the Asian community? How are we talking about the Jewish community? Talking about these communities? And I feel like to myself, we are moaning, but what are we actually doing to change? Like a lot of the time, we don't want to hear it because we're tired of hearing about other communities. But I think what we should be tired of is doing the same thing over and over again and not challenging the behaviour. I see all the time. How often do we celebrate a man get a car? No, you're whipped. Bruv, you know what man's on. You know a man's doing 22k job. Man's driving a 35 grand, 40 grand car and you're on a 22k salary and you're all giving man high fives. This is the mindset. And a lot of the time we push the narrative of what you can buy, where you can go, how you dress as being your status symbol or being your ego. And I compare it to other people. I always give this example. I remember my neighbour, where I used to live, in Bromley. If you see my neighbour's car, one clap down. I don't even know. I want to say it was a Polo or one of these small little cars. The car was old. And I remember sometimes I'd be walking to the train station. Sometimes she'll drive to the train station if I'm running late and stuff. She'd be like, do you want a lift? I'd be like, no, you know what? I'm good. I'm a walk instead. And if you know me, I'm not really a walker like that, but man would rather walk than jump in that thing. Do you know what I mean? Them times I was wearing suits and that, I'm thinking, big suit like this and come out of this thing. Do you know what I mean? Lovely family. So obviously next door, so I get on with them. I spend Christmas round at their house, or go spend time and then go around, and then they show me their kitchen, their extension. The house inside is wonderful, and it's their pride. Their focus is on their yard and they live humble. If you see the way they dress, no real brands, nothing like that, but their house they take pride in. And the house that they got for, let's say they probably bought it around 300k, it's now worth 1.3. They're £1 million up. Obviously they took some money out to do extensions, so let's say even if they've added to the mortgage, it's not more than 500,000. And the point being is that they ain't got no pressure. They have no pressure. They're not going to see their brethren and they're telling them, you ain't got no diamonds or you ain't got no Yeezys. You're not going to Dubai this weekend. Because we are the culture and we feel like, we are the coolest. Like, I'm tired of all this, man's not a nerd, man's cool. Bruv, man's broke. That's what man is. I don't care how much money you splash. Bare man splashing illegal money and acting like more time you can't buy a yard of that. You can't. So all you can do is buy bottles in the club and buy chains and buy this stuff and make other people feel inadequate because they've got a normal 9 to 5. I feel like we celebrate too much illegal activity. We should be celebrating people that are actually working, doing it legitimate and living a good life. But it feels like that's not good enough for us. There's so much pressure that then we say, no wonder people decide they can't do 9 to 5. I got a brethren, real life story. I got him a job in Barclays as a cashier. Doing the cashier thing, obviously sometimes the employment can be hard. You feel like you should get a promotion, but somebody else get a promotion. Now you're feeling in a way. So what did he do? He quit and went on the roads, went back to sell drugs. Within 6 months of quitting, he was in prison. Come out of prison, carried on, went back in, got a big case. Now man's come out, man's working in warehouses, doing bricklaying. He's happy. He's happy making almost no dough because he's just happy to be free. But we can look in the past, all the men that are doing these illegal activities, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't end well. Do you know anyone that's really won from this thing?
To be honest, the majority of the time, it's cool when you're in your teenage years, your early 20s and that, but the majority of the time, when people hit their mid-30s, late 30s, everybody, it's the same story. People are either in jail, some people are dropped out. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows the same old story. People are either running from feds or they're running from somebody. You're paranoid 24/7. Somebody broke down the numbers, to say that most people who are on road, they're on road for about 10 years, and they're making silly money for 10 years. I can't remember whatever the figure was now, Let's say, for instance, the figure's 100 bags or something mad, maybe more. That period while you're in jail, you're making zero money. So from these 10 years now, you've made X amount of money. But somebody else who's been out of jail for that whole period of time, it's the same amount of money as working in McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like a lower end kind of job. Do you get me? When you're in jail, they put you in certain jobs where you're working in canteen. Anyway, to touch on that point, the wrong things in our society are glorified. We should be championing more people who are doing legit things, making legit money. I
feel like it's us, our culture. And I know people say, this is driven by this part of this, and this is from slavery, and this is from the system wants, and this is where they put us in these. And I totally get that. But if we're in there, what are we doing to make a change? And I know people want to say it's hard to change because everything pushes you to do this and put in this environment, in this close space where you feel like you got no hope and no chance. You're going to end up doing bad things. But for me, it's you got to see yourself different. We've got to start to say that we're not accepting that behavior. That's not good enough. Like what you said, a man will be on road, let's say on road, and let's say you're doing well on road. You might do well 3-4 years. Like you said, you might make 150k over 3-4 years. Then you spend 3 or 4 years in prison. You come out, you're on tag or whatever. Now you've got that on your record. You're limited in the type of jobs that you can apply for. And especially depending on what you do. If you do fraud, not many companies are going to want someone who's been convicted for fraud to be within their company. Do you know what I mean? Naturally, it's going to make them nervous. Do you see what I'm saying? If you've been in for assault or GBH or whatever, again, if people are going to feel nervous to be around you, they think you're a person that can be violent. Do you know what I mean? Even if you've reformed. So again, these are the types of things that we don't understand. And for me, it's like, look at Asia, man. You say, oh, these men do IT. Like, you're trying to take the piss out of man. These men are doing IT. I'm winning.
Certain people in IT now have got like rapper money. Like, one of my guys does IT. He's had an I8 now. A lot of people would think, yes, a little couple of weeks. He's had I8 for like over 12 months now.
Yeah.
Looking into properties like local to him. Like some people who are in IT, they're doing decent things. But the problem is, I feel like our eyes are just focused on the wrong thing. Whether or not it's the environments in which we're in, whether or not it's the things we consume, such as whether it's what's glorified in music. Overall, like, the wrong things are definitely glorified, I feel like.
We allow it. Like, how can I be trying to encourage people to say, look, I'm not saying we got to be exactly like the Jewish community. I'm not saying we got to be like the Asian community. What I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that they don't have their flaws. What I'm saying is that these are other communities that are non-white that have been able to find a way. When you speak to the Asian man, they do IT and they do property. Do you understand? Why can't we say, as, you know, this is our thing? Like, do you know what I mean? Why has it got to be we're cool, we're bad, we're not to be messy if they fear us, so we got to be on road? Bruv, I respect any man, any woman that has a legitimate income, a legitimate job. When I go to Tesco, I see the security man, I will always, good morning, I always give a man a big up. I will always respect a man for doing it on a day's work. And also, sometimes you look at a man, so a man can be in Tesco, that doesn't mean man ain't got 5 properties. That don't mean man hasn't got ownership, something else. Man might be doing this because it just works with what man's doing. It's an easy shift, man enjoys it, it's light work, it's an easy pay, and it helps him get pension benefits. Why do you assume that just because you see somebody in one job, that's their own job? I saw the other day someone was saying how someone worked in McDonald's, and what? So let me tell you something. How much times are we in McDonald's? Have we ever thought about McDonald's is a franchise? How many McDonald's are owned by black people? So we be in there, we're so comfortable being consumers. We know that McDonald's is a franchise. Why are we not thinking, bruv, you know what? Imagine if we had our own McDonald's and we played our own music, we added our own flavour, like we made it cool, then we had our own people come through, musicians, we had our own McDonald's. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Then man can do parties in there, do whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? McDonald's parties for adults. Do you know what I mean? Man, blazing the music and make it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Why are we not thinking like, rah, okay, I like coffee. Why can't I own one of these? Why must I always go into it? Why can't I own it? Because we are so comfortable being consumers. And what I'm trying to do for people is to get them to think, challenge everything you see. Because when you start to challenge things and say, why am I so happy being a customer of this? Why can't I own it? You see people all the time. I really like this shop. I want to buy it. I want to own one day. Maybe not today. Maybe you're not in a position today, but I want to own one day. So what do you then do? Let's say I want to own a McDonald's. Is there a meeting? Oh yeah, you can find out when they're doing their franchise meetings. If you want to become a franchise owner in McDonald's, how does it work? Or in KFC or wherever. I've been seeing bare Subways open up. It's not us.
I think a part of that, is due to inspirational proximity. If those that are around you on a regular basis are constantly thinking about, I want to own this, or those that are around you are thinking about, oh, I want to move this grub, move this food, sell this and that drugs wise, then your mind's going to go left.
Exactly.
As opposed to going right. And it's funny because it reminds me of where I went to my college. There was like a circle of people that would always think about business.
Yeah.
Always. When this particular Turkish brother had no dough, I'm going to start a new business. Did this. The business didn't do well. I'm going to start a new business. And it just always made me think, wow, this circle of people is always business. Goes back to within his circle of people, everybody thought about business.
Yeah.
That's all they knew. So on the topic of what you're referring to about coffee and McDonald's and stuff like that, if you put yourself in the right environment, within the right network of people now, that will be all your mind constantly thinks about, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's the thing for me. It's like, if you want to do property, you want to do stuff, you got to have those people around you. Also, it's like, who's holding you accountable? Because sometimes it's like, you got to get out of your environment. I'll give you an example. I grew up in East London, so there's a brother called Marcus Nasty. He started a grime crew called Nasty Crew. I had a few friends from school that was in the group and When we were younger, this brother was feared. Like, you know what I mean? He's known for giving man licks and beating man up, and like, I see him now, he's completely changed. Do you know what I mean? Because he's grown up. Like, I went to uni, I was around different people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different genders, different sexual orientation, and it changed his mindset. Like, realised that, you know what? the old me, that I wasn't actually that nice of a person. This is his own words. I love to see it. And the biggest thing he said was the biggest thing that changed him was changing his environment. And I'm like, yo, I'm glad that we love each other and we love to be around each other. And it's cool to be black at the moment. Like, everybody wants to be black. Everybody wants to have part of the culture. Everybody wants to be able to claim. And it's monetizing. Let's be honest. Man, I'm monetizing the culture. And a lot of the time, it's not us monetizing it, even though we create it, even though we keep it cool. For me, it's about us thinking, listen, what can I do? How can I surround myself with just some different thinkers? People that think slightly different, to understand. Like I said, when I was growing up around Asian and Jewish people, it made me look at people different. Like, oh, is that how you think? Oh, is that what your family did? Oh, is that how you were able to? Because sometimes you just assume that, you know, people were just gifted a silver spoon in their mouth and they just, because they come from a certain background, they've always had money. Man's dad, not man's granddad, man's dad was a taxi driver. Don't look at man's house now and say, oh, look, this house looks lovely. Man's dad was doing taxi, doing the jobs that nobody wanted to do. And then instead of spending it, like, to show off, man humbled himself. I could hear them online already. Not everybody can live with their parents. Some people need to move out for mental health. Is that you though? Are you that person? Do we all need to move out for mental health? Is that everybody? Actually, some of us are just moving out because of ego. Some of us are moving out because of pride. Some of us are moving out because we think we're too big. Stay at home as long as you can. Use that as a position to build. But no, we don't want to do that. I don't just blame the people for having that mindset. I blame, you know, the elders. Because how much of people that are older that realize are going back to tell people like, listen, I did this life, it's not worth it. Or I thought about moving out and I moved out and I bought something I was renting in Canary Wharf £2,000. It didn't benefit me. Man, I bet renting £2,000 a month in Canary Wharf when you got a bedroom in your mum's yard that you can just give her a little 3 bills, 4 bills, 5 bills and stack. And now you've lived in Canary Wharf for 4 or 5 years, still have no ownership. But bare passing up, no, man's house is sick though. Man lives by the wharf though. Man's doing big things because he's got nice suits and he lives by the wharf and drives a nice car. Bruv, we need to stop. All of that is fake. All of that ain't nothing. What do you own? The suits are made by someone else. You bought from someone else. Everything we celebrate is things that we buy from other people. I want us to start celebrating things that we own, things that we have ownership in. Like, stop putting up these watches. You don't own no stocks in these watches. You ain't got no shares in these watches. P-Tech this or whatever. I don't even care, bruv. Me, I got my Apple Watch, bruv. I'm good. It does what it needs to do. Do you know what I mean? Man, I put in all these watches, Rolex this, Rolex that. Like, for me, it's like, understand what's important. Like, and what's really important is that we are building wealth. We are pushing each other to be better versions of ourselves. And we're trying to make sure that we are actually putting in the work to build generational wealth and leave a good legacy for those that are coming behind us, whether they be your children or other children. We want our community to grow and move forward.